Okay, 1982. Okay, I had calculated that American banks had lent a lot of money to a bunch of countries that would not be able to pay back. Latin American and emerging countries that couldn't pay back. And it was a sort of a crazy point of view. But Mexico defaulted.
You were right about that part.
Right about that part, but you're not right if you're not making money in the markets. Okay, so they default August 1982, and I thought the stock market's going to go down, and the stock market went up because Federal Reserve eased, things changed, and whatever. And I learned. Okay, yes. So I was. But
it wasn't. You didn't just miss. You were like publicly humiliated. What happened to your company at the time? You lost all your. Tell us.
I had to lose. I lost all the people who worked for me. I had to let.
They were like family to you.
These were like family. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I
had to borrow $4,000. Is what it was?
You know the story well.
Well, go ahead, tell us. I'm interrupting. I don't mean to. I just
no. But right. It's in the book. So I lost all these people I cared about. I was very publicly wrong. And
how many employees were left when you were done?
Me. So I had to make a choice. Am I going to put on a tie and go to Wall Street and have a job or not? And I had to borrow $4,000 from my dad to help pay for my family bills.
Wow.
And that was one of the most painful experiences that I ever had.
And after you've been in business, what, 8 years, 7 years?
This is right.
Yeah. Wow.
And
quite a name for yourself already.
And it was one of the best experiences I ever had.
Why?
And it was one of the best experiences because it changed my attitude about decision making. I learned, okay? I went from thinking I'm right to asking myself, how do I know I'm right? Right?
Yes.
And that gave me an open-mindedness. And I've learned, by the way, when I know a lot of very successful people, and I learned that they crashed at some point. Almost everybody's crashed. Joseph Campbell in his book calls it going into the abyss.
Yeah.
And that crashing is really the best thing for them.
Yes.
Because they either have a metamorphosis or they don't.
Yeah.
And I learned pain plus reflection equals progress.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In other words, those moments. And then quality reflections. I think in order to be successful, you have to do 5 things. There's a sequence, okay?
Great.
First, you have to have your goals.
And you talk about audacious goals.
Well, I think have audacious goals.
Yes. Why?
Right?
I agree, but why?
Because you want to have the greatest life you can possibly have and the greatest impact you can have.
And your goals affect you, whatever they are. If they're small goals, you're affected in a small way. If they're really driven, you rise to the occasion.
Right. Goals. Next, problems. On your way to your goals, you're going to encounter your problems or your failures.
Yes.
Right?
But you don't tolerate them.
You got it. Don't tolerate them.
Yes.
Right? Number 3 is then diagnose them to get at their root causes.
Yeah.
And often those root causes are things that people are doing wrong. Maybe you're doing wrong. Maybe it's a weakness of you.
Yes.
Notice the patterns. Get at the root causes.
Yes.
Once you know the root causes to your problems, then you go to find out a design.
Yeah.
So you've diagnosed it to its root cause. Find out the design of what you're going to do about that. So let's say you have a weakness. You might not, maybe it's develop the strength, or maybe it is to work with somebody who's strong where you're weak.
So you don't always have to be able to overcome every weakness. Sometimes it's finding the right partner.
It's usually the most practical thing, right?
That makes sense.
Because everybody's brain works in different ways.
Yes.
In other words, to see something one way, you're probably going to be blind in another way.
Yeah.
So to know how to work with people who are strong where you're weak is very powerful. So number 3, design what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And number 4 and number 5 is to push through to results, right? So you say, I've got a design. Okay, now goddamn do that design, right?
The determination and flexibility to find the way.
And that's it. This is what I call this looping. Go for your goals, identify and not tolerate your problems, get to the root cause of them, then design a path to fix those things, and then go beyond it to push through. And you just life is just basically keep doing that over and over again.
Yes.
And if you do that, you'll make the advances. That is why failure's a teacher. You know, if you have success, you did it right. So there's nothing to learn probably, right? If you have there's something to learn, right?
Yes.
Make the most of your failures. What I learned, I developed an instinctual reaction that's different from failure. The instinct is now to view failure as a puzzle that will give me gems. The puzzle.
Once you solve the puzzle.
Right. The puzzle is, what would I do differently in the future so not to have that result?
And that's where the principles come from.
That's what you write that down.
Yeah.